Assalamualaikum. We are going to present our second assignment, which is Architecture Biography of Oscar Niemeyer. I'm eagerly presenting my group members. Here is our table of contents, which we're gonna proceed with. Firstly, we're gonna talk about Oscar Niemeyer's life, plus architecture philosophy. Then we're gonna come to the analysis of iconic architectural works. Then we're gonna touch theoretical and global and local influences. And nextly, group perspective, including the conclusion and some Q&A. Here is the background of architect Oscar Niemeyer. Oscar Niemeyer, 1907 to 2012, was a pioneering Brazilian architect known for his bold, modernist designs and iconic use of concrete, a central figure in the development of modern architecture in Latin America. He was renowned for introducing a distinctive sense of style that contrasted with the rigid, functional forms of earlier modernist movements. Niemeyer's legacy lies in the ability to fuse modernist principles with artistic expression, leaving behind a unique architectural language that reshaped Brazil's national identity. Talking about the education of architect Oscar Niemeyer, the institution where he passed from was the Belas Artes Rio de Janeiro National School of Fine Arts. He graduated in 1934. Niemeyer studied architecture while working in his father's typography workshop and learned drafting, which became foundational for his fluid drawings. Life experiences. He was born in December 15, 1907, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Died on December 5, 2012, at the age of 104. In his early career, he worked under Lucio Costa and collaborated with Le Corbusier on the Ministry of Education and Health in Rio. Political views. Niemeyer was a committed communist, which heavily influenced his projects and international collaborations. Exile. Due to British military dictatorship from 1964 to 1985, Niemeyer moved to Paris and continued his work in Europe and the Middle East. Philosophy of curves. One of his quotes is, "I'm not attracted to straight angles or to the straight lines, hard and inflexible, created by men. I'm attracted to free-flowing, sensual curves of the mountains of my country, the thinnesses of rivers, the body of the beloved woman." He saw curves as poetic, feminine, and expressive, inspired by Brazil's landscapes and women. The curve was his rebellion against the rigid rationalism of modernism. His design attitude embraced reinforced concrete as a sculptural medium, rejected ornamentation, but infused buildings with sensuality and drama through form. Believed architecture should stir emotions and connect with people beyond pure utility. His approach was deeply contextual, rooted in Brazilian identity, politics, and nature. Views on architecture, poetry versus function. Poetry over function. Niemeyer believed architecture is about beauty, not just utility. He stated, "What attracts me is the free and sensual curve, the curve I found in the mountains of my country, in the seriousness of its river, in the water of the ocean, and in the body of the beloved woman." But not anti-function. He integrated functions subtly and humanely, never letting it dominate the aesthetic experience. He balanced programmation with emotion and spiritual depth, believing that architecture should surprise, inspire, and elevate the soul.
Next, now we'll be talking about analysis of iconic architectural works. The first building is Cathedral of Brasilia. The location was in Ibirapuera in Brazil, and year of completion is 1970. Oscar Niemeyer designed the cross-shaped cathedral in Brasilia, which has 16 hyperbolic reinforced in its truss and was finished on May 31, 1970. The design idea was centered on regional spirit. The Cathedral of Brasilia was inspired by Chinese architecture, with its glass canopy, its concrete frame hyperbolic building looks to stretch up and embrace heaven. The cathedral roof is reached by a 12-meter wide, 40 cm deep reflecting pool that helps to cool the structure. When tourists enter the cathedral, they walk beneath this pool. The oval baptistry is positioned to the left of the gateway and can be accessed by the cathedral or a spiral staircase from the entrance plaza. In 1977, Otis Bukau decorated the baptistry walls with ceramic tiles. The second building is Museum of Contemporary Arts. The location was in Guanabara Bay in Brazil, and year of completion is 1996. The museum on the banks of Guanabara Bay in Niterói was designed in collaboration with structural engineer Bruno Contarino. Completed in 1996, the cylinder films like a flower, adding to the surroundings while also functioning as a viewpoint. Its circular form features a big glass opening that allows museum visitors to take in the natural beauty that surrounds them. The main body is 6 15-meter tall, and the entrance is via a curving concrete loop that allows guests to observe the surroundings and the tower itself from a 98-meter long architectural pyramid with various perspectives. The ramp is invited and highlighted by its red fire floor, which is the plastic alternative design to accentuate the entrance to the vast wide area. The third building was Serpentine Gallery Summer Pavilion. The location was in Hyde Park, London, UK, and year of completion is 2003. At an annual event that attracts visitors across Hyde Park, architects' works are showcased in the Serpentine Gallery Pavilion. In 2003, Oscar Niemeyer designed the pavilion, which was dismantled at the end of the season. It was built in concrete, paint white, and accessed by a ramp. A large gesture of drawing spreads in a single direction, creating the speciality of the ensemble. It is a blend of components from the Niemeyer well-known work. This gesture is offered in white with a void at the entrance that is built away from the closing and accessible via a ramp with a red cover as well as a red aircraft in the background. The fourth building is Auditorio Ibirapuera. The location was in Brazil and the year of completion was in 2005. Oscar Niemeyer designed the park, which includes temporary exhibits, museums, auditoriums, lakes, and planetariums. The auditorium is a trapezium with a red marquee that reads Flint at the entrance. A massive red rectangle marks the back of the theater, as does the large opening door to the stage. Neymar maintained a consistent color and material palette of white, red, and wood, with white utilized for opaque surface and wood for handrails and acoustic windows. The color red is utilized to guide the user or spectators through the auditorium experience, announcing the arrival with the marquee and welcoming them on the inner ramp to audience areas via the floor covering. The next building is Oscar Niemeyer International Cultural Center. The location was in Aviles, Spain, and year of completion is 2011. Oscar Niemeyer designed a cultural institution in Spain that overlooks the history of the Rio de Aviles. The center consists of four structures: a 1961 seat auditorium, a dome open plan museum, a lookout tower, and a multifunctional building with a theater, meeting rooms, and conference spaces. The center was a part of the city's industrial port revitalization and is made up of post-tension concrete structures with sweeping curves and spires. The auditorium sweeping front features bright red and yellow shapes as well as a simple depiction of a naked woman, a nod to Neighbor's widely claimed influence on the feminine form. Terrazzo and glass are used to reflect modern-day material palettes. The last building is United Nations Secretariat Building. The location was in Manhattan, New York, US, and year of completion is 1951. The United Nations Secretariat Buildings, designed by Oscar Niemeyer and Nico Bizet and completed in 1952, exemplified modern architecture aesthetic with the world's first entirely glass facade. The skyscraper is designed in an international style, which is 505 feet tall and has 39 stories above ground. The tower, a 72 by 287-foot rectangular slab connected to a United Nations headquarters building, has glass curtain walls on its western and eastern elevation and marble on its northern and southern elevations. The primary goal was to maximize the use of natural light with retaining users' view of the Manhattan skyline and the East River. Floor layouts are planned to create a full-loop corridor around the core, optimizing circulation and making the most of the quiet zone.
Next, I'm going to talk about global influence and how his philosophy might be connected to Malaysia architecture. Oscar was a pioneer who revolutionized modernist architecture throughout the world with his distinctive flowing curve, his use of reinforced concrete and philosophy that designed to improve culture. Modernism with emotion and curve. Oscar added curve and sensuality to modernism, whereas early modernists like Le Corbusier and Louis Benvenuto emphasized rationality and rigid line. His work demonstrated that modern architecture is not just practical, but also poetic, expressive, and sculpture-like. This sparked a global movement toward more expressive and organic shape, opening the door for architects like Zaha Hadid, whose dynamic glowing design echo Oscar creativity. Santiago Calatrava is renowned for his sinuous skeletal form, and Frank Gehry, who diverged from the international style with his use of unusual material and shape. Second, he introduced concrete as a sculptural medium. Oscar broadened the possibility of reinforced concrete by utilizing it for artistic purpose in addition to practical one. His method had an impact on postmodern and brutalist movement which dramatically used concrete to express flow, rhythm, and identity. Projects such as Nieyemer Contemporary Art Museum and the Catalogue of Brasilia were used as case studies in architecture courses around the world. The third is global commission and cultural integration. Oscar worked on significant projects outside of Brazil culturally, adapting this concept of civic generosity and curve. First is the UN headquarters in New York, established a standard for civil architecture worldwide. Central Niemeyer, Spain, a cultural hub that inspired European discussion about modern public architecture. And third is French Communist Party HQ, Paris, blended ideological symbolism with bold geometry. So this project globalizes design vocabulary, making Brazilian modernism an international reference point. Now, I'm going to talk about professional connection between this philosophy and Malaysian architecture. First is integration with nature and tropical climate. His building frequently seemed to float above the ground or blend in with the surrounding landscape as he felt that architecture should communicate with the environment. In relation to Malaysia, traditional Malaysian houses are elevated, built to respond to rain, humidity, and airflow, in which is a principle Oscar also emphasized through piloting, open plaza, and elevated volume. His method worked well with Malaysian climate-responsive technique, which include breezeway, shaded area, and passive ventilation. The second is monumental with lightness. Oscar, since his design featured open spaces, slender support, and sparsely built, it frequently feels poetic and light despite its great scale. So the relation to Malaysia, this concept is similar to how traditional Malay dwellings are light on the ground and open to the sky. Magnificent natural light, ventilation, and community orientation are frequently balanced in Malaysian mosques and municipal structure. So the last is materialist, concrete and tropical integration. So for Oscar, he used reinforced concrete and sculpted it into delicate yet impressive form. So the relation to Malaysia, while many modern structures such as the Islamic Art Museum and Merdeka 118 use concrete to produce locally inspired form, traditional Malaysian architecture is centered on timber. Malaysian architect can be inspired by Oscar concrete philosophy to play around with the malleability of concrete while integrating vegetation, terracotta or timber for warmth. The design implication, when sorted with local resource or greenery, flat concrete featured in Malaysian tropical architecture can create a harmonious interaction between regional aesthetic and coastal principle.
To conclude with this presentation, it is important to reflect on the lasting impact of Oscar's Niemeyer's work beyond the physical structure he created. His emphasis on sensual craft and poetic expression over rigid functionality has sparked continuous dialogue about the emotion and cultural dimension of architecture. Through his iconic use of curve and sculptural form, he opened up new possibilities for emotion deep in the built environment. Across the globe, architects today continue to draw inspiration from his vision. Figures such as Zaha Hadid and Sandiego Calatrava have extended his legacy through dynamic, expressive forms that defy convention. By treating architecture as an emotion and artistic medium, Niemeyer challenged determinism and strict functionalism and inspired a more poetic spatial language. His philosophy encouraged architects today to embrace creative freedom and to prioritize beauty, identity, and meaning in their design. Lucas Niemeyer's architecture is a poetic fusion of modernism and sensuality, characterized by firm curve, concrete elegance, monumental vision, and a profound connection to Brazil's natural and cultural landscape. As Niemeyer said, his work was never about form for function. Instead, he believed form should follow beauty, or even more profoundly, the feminines.